I really want my grandkids to know this, that visualizing is powerful and it's real. And my next example is about how I have visualized physical buildings. And you are seeing right now one of those. This retreat that I created in the beautiful Rocky Mountains is a desire of my heart that has been there for years, and it's now real. The other example is the home I have, still, behind the state capitol in Salt Lake City, back on the hill. And it all started when my husband and I bought a home in the similar location, but it was never quite right. It didn't match how we lived. And after I'd contacted an architect to make the fourth major adjustment to that building, I realized this is just nuts. But I was also prompted to go for a walk around my neighborhood. And lo and behold, the area behind me had just opened up for development. It was beautiful territory. And I went to a corner of the street and stood on that land and looked over the whole Salt Lake Valley. I could see clear to the point of the mountain, to Provo from where I stood. It was beautiful. And I said to myself, I want this land. I will build my dream home here. I promptly went back home and over the next several months made lists of the things that I wanted in my dream home. It included things like a work space for my husband, a whole work office. I wanted a swimming pool and a hot tub and land. And because both of us have big families and we don't like traveling back and forth to each other's families for Thanksgiving or Christmas, why not bring everybody to our place? We could make this big enough so that it could easily seat 50, 60 people for dinner. That's what I wanted. I also wanted a sewing room because that's my favorite hobby. So I fleshed out all the details, and pretty soon time passed and the lot becomes available. We're able to purchase it. We get an architect. We build the place. And on the first night that my husband and I and our 2 daughters are living in that, I go to love on my daughters. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking across a bridge inside the house that looks out to that beautiful valley and the lights of Salt Lake. And all of a sudden, I realized that I had visualized everything here. And I said to myself, I'll bet you I've still even got that piece of paper. And I went and got the piece of paper and found it. And sure enough, it actually had been written maybe 16 years prior to that night. But there it was. I was walking in the home that had a workroom for my husband, a sewing room for me, swimming pool, hot tub, big family room for our gatherings. It was my dream home. And it had started out just as a thought, a visualization in my mind. Now, this place, I have wanted to have a place in the mountains for years. And there were all kinds of problems, but slowly, one at a time, they start to fall away if you stay focused. And now I have this wonderful place to have retreats for families and to help share the principles I've learned to my mentees. Here are 5 specifics of things that can help you in your visualization process. Number 1, get rid of those little devils that rest on your shoulder and tell you you can't. They tell you you're too tall, too short, too ugly, too rich, too poor, doesn't matter what. They tell you you're not good enough to do or have what you want. Get rid of them. I just think about knocking those devils off my shoulder. They want to defeat you, and you're not going to let them. Number 2, visualize it clearly. Make sure you see it. If it's a house on the hill, then see that house on the hill. I actually saw a sewing room that had all the space, a cutting table that was tall enough for me. It had sewing machines and places to put all of my fabric. I saw those things before the room ever existed. Next, be sure that you are very detailed in what you see. What is it going to feel like when you're in that area? What is it going to smell like while you're there? What are all the details of all of that? Because that helps make it come about. Number 4, write it down. That helps you to be very specific and also helps document that what you thought really did come about. And number 5, acknowledge when it happens, because it probably will, and be grateful to Heavenly Father because He and His realm is the one to whom you should be most appreciative for all of these things.